good friend, the lawyer himself, David Ungar, the man that I pitch podcast ideas to, the man that I talk to first when it comes to this stuff. Thank you. I'm glad to be back, Dave. And I wish I had a good reason for missing last week's Four Corners. I know you posted something in
Yeah.
our stead that is fine, and that's great. But I hadn't mowed my lawn yet since nature came back. And what is normally like a 1 hour job, like today took me an hour to take care of my lawn. Went 3 hours. Yes, last week. And I'm sitting there, I'm pushing this mower along. I am dying because I'm, in my 40s, my upper mid 40s now. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, it's 11:50. I'm not gonna make it. Shit, I should tell Dave that I can't. I gotta miss the show. So texted you. You guys came through, recorded or didn't record a show, but put up an unidentified history. Was that
Yeah.
what you went with? Yeah. So thank you for covering that. Uh, and so this week my goal is a couple things. I told you off recording before we hit live. By the way, Four Quarters Podcast is brought to you as a part of the Chairshot Radio Network here on the Chairshot.com, where we remind you to always use your head.
The new and improved chair shot,
That's
to
right.
be
The new
exact.
and improved Chairshot.com. Make sure you head over to ProWrestlingTees.com/the Chair Shot for all of your Chair Shot swag needs. We're very, very excited about this relaunch. This has been a labor of love for the entire team, and in particular, one Raymond S. Cashington Esquire, one PC Clifford. We'll see Peter Clifford Tunisian, and Gregory
Tunisian.
DeMarco. Yeah, he's
Tunisian.
Tunisian today.
Yeah.
I want to call. We'll
I
come up
dig
with a
it.
different name later.
I dig it.
But yeah, so lots going on. There's one topic I absolutely feel like we need to talk about, even though it's 2 weeks old, before we get into the hockey playoffs, which I've lost track of. Other than I know Carolina swept Philly. That was like that's the last thing I remember. I don't. Is Buffalo still in the playoffs? Like, are they out?
They
Like,
are, and they forced a game 7 last night. And
excellent.
that series is crazy. We'll talk about
Cool.
that.
So we'll get to that. Yeah, like I'm going to let you run the second half of this show, catching me up. My baseball has been unexpectedly exciting for this St. Louis Cardinal fan, and we'll get into
Dude,
that in the
I'm
second
like
half.
looking at yesterday, like the Nats are 500. I'm like, what the hell?
Right. and so all of that is to say we're going to shove that to the second end of the show. We're going to start today's podcast. And I'm sorry, live listeners, as I lean back, it's just how I talk in my rocky chair when my face disappears. I'm still here. I'm just a voice from beyond. But
Pat's got cloaking technology, kids.
there you go. There are two things that are going on in the world of college athletics that I think are very, very important. Both of them are things that we've known are going to happen. One has been made official. The other is being talked about, and those are the postseason for NCAA football and men's and women basketball. Now, the NCAA football, the NCAA, the college football playoff, has come forward with a proposal to expand the current college football playoff system from 12 teams to 24. We skipped right over 16,
Yeah,
going to 24. And
the one that makes sense. Nah, let's go beyond.
well, and we're going to talk about it because I'm not as against the 24 team playoff as I am against what happened in the NCAA tournament, because you look at it's right now, it's still in a proposal phase. The big news this week is that the ACC, in their sort of conference meeting, Commissioner Jim Phillips came out this week and said that the ACC, while not unanimous, did come to a consensus in favor of the 24 team model. The Big Ten has been the champion of the 24 team model. Like, they're the ones that came out first. Tony Petitti, commissioner there, like, they're the ones that proposed the 24 team model. And that one, the tougher conference to get on board is going to be the SEC. And I was listening to the Cover 3 podcast, the CBS Cover 3 podcast, as they were talking about it, and they made a really good point. Chip Patterson and Danny Kanell were the hosts for this episode. And the hardest part about this, because the college football playoff is not an NCAA tournament. The NCAA has nothing to do with college football playoff. It is owned by the television networks, and in particular right now, ESPN. And the SEC and the Big 12, their current media exclusivity deals are with the ESPN family of companies. So and ESPN currently is like, we love where we are right now. We love the 12-team playoff. Big 10 tied with Fox. And I think it was Chip Patterson who made the point. He was like, if they expand to 24, that gives an opportunity for a network like Fox to be able to air some college football playoff games. And of course, they want money in that pie. And the college football playoff has been extraordinarily successful financially, we'll say. So I don't blame the Big 10 wanting to come out in support of this. The ACC, I understand, because, and this was what was really interesting, is the controversy last year of Miami or Notre Dame. The ACC used that controversy in their statement to be evidenced as a reason why you should expand to 24 teams, because Jim Phillips in his statement said, if there are national championship caliber teams not making the national championship playoff, then we should relook at how many eligible teams get in. Look at what happened to Notre Dame, which was hilarious because Notre Dame and the ACC were trading barbs like crazy back when this happened, and Notre Dame kind of had the rug pulled out from under it in the very last week to make this what it is. But I do think there is an argument for some more teams to get into the playoff. I do think there's an argument for 24. In the scope of college football, we have 121 teams. So 24 teams it's less than 25%. It's less than 25% of qualified college football programs that could get in. And I don't think the dilution of talent that gets in would be so egregious that you couldn't keep it. So for me, I don't hate the proposal of 24, but I also don't think it's going to get approved this year.
Yeah, I don't hate it per se. I mean, I've always been a proponent of 16 because it's just a nice, it just flows with the bracket, you know.
It's a clean number.
It's a clean number. No one gets a bye, which I know some of the top rated teams are going to be like, if we win a conference championship, we should get a bye. But if you look at the history of the championship since they instituted byes, that isn't always a good thing. Most of the teams who are getting that rest are losing. So is that really a benefit to these teams that they go and they go into these things, they get a bye, they're not ready. The other team has already faced elimination once. And, I mean, it's one thing like when you're doing we'll talk hockey and basketball. When you got 7 games to get your shit together, that sort of thing. You can afford maybe to lose game 1 and then kind of turn it around, but you don't have that luxury in football. So I'm not opposed to it per se. I think 16 makes more sense, but like you're saying, it's all about money. It's all about the numbers. With 24 teams, you are less likely to get this Notre Dame whining, bitching, we should have been in scenario.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter how big you make the tournament.
Somebody's going to get left
out.
So
the team that's left out that thinks they deserve to get in because they went 9-3, but maybe didn't have the most impressive resume, they're going to bitch and moan about how they should have done it and been in there. And we'll get to a team like that would have made the NCAA tournament in this new format that didn't, but won the NIT in Auburn.
Right.
That I still don't think that they deserve to make the tournament. What I do, the other thing that I think this would create a great opportunity for the sport of college football is more opportunities for universities to host playoff games. And what has been shown is those teams that host usually win. And so if you create an additional round, can you just imagine if Alabama, or not Alabama, if Georgia, who had a bye, went straight to the Sugar Bowl, I want to say, and lost to the Sugar Bowl to Ole Miss. Like, can you imagine Georgia hosting a playoff game and how different that game between them and Ole Miss is, and how just great that is for the school and the atmosphere and what it builds?
Right. And realistically, they should do. I mean, if you're going to go to 24, then what I'd really, but I mean, this is the problem with college football is that you wipe out the big bowl games if you do this idea that I have, which is like, look, structure this like the college, like the NFL. If you're the better team, you should have home field advantage. You should, instead of the buys, give them home field advantage, that sort of thing.
At least for the first two rounds. Like, because you're not going to get rid of those yet. You're not going to get rid of that Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, Sugar Bowl.
Right. If you want to
those tie-ins, you're going to keep them.
If you want to do those for the semifinals and then have the championship in one of those places, then you get three of how many are there? There's 6 on the New Year's 6 or the Big 6.
Yeah, something like that.
So, I mean, you rotate 3 every year, that sort of thing. And then you reward these teams. And then you don't have this huge issue of these teams having a bye and then blowing it on a neutral site, that sort of thing.
Right.
I think that would balance things out. If they want to do something like that, reward these teams that are winning these conference championships in the regular season, make it mean something, because right now it's just, it's too easy to get caught in that trap for these teams that earn the right to sit and rest. And it's just, if you look at the NFL, those teams that get the rest that first week, like the number 1 seed, they're at home, and it's rare that they lose at home. So, but
that is to say, the University of Indiana got a bye and won the whole thing. So
they were
a wagon. They were a wagon.
They were.
So we'll have to see. But I do want to shift gears, because this is a half-hour show basically, to the NCAA basketball tournament, because this has been made official. The 24-team college football playoff thing, this is just currently being discussed, and I would legitimately be surprised as we record here on May 17th that college football playoff system changes, that it'll get approved and ratified. I think we still got a ways to go. The NCAA tournament has been talking forever about making a change to a system that didn't need to be made change, something that was not broken that they decided need.
If it ain't broke, let's fix it.
They've toyed with it in so many different ways. When you had what many would argue was the perfect tournament in the 64-team, the field of 64 NCAA tournament, with your 4 regions that play over 3 consecutive weekends to crown a national basketball tournament. And that changed incrementally, first with the first 4, where we started doing 2 play-in games for these 15 seeds, 16 seeds to play for the right to get into the tournament. We then expanded it to the first 4 to be the first 4 games instead of the first 4 teams. And suddenly it was, 4 high major last teams in the tournament, last teams in, however you want to define it, in the tournament. And then again, 2 more, play-in teams. So you had 8. Well, it is now official in both the men's and women's basketball tournament that the field is expanding again to now be the field of 76. Cool. So
how does that work?
So it's basically a mini tournament to get into the tournament. It's insane. I can't remember. It's not a mini tournament to get into the tournament, but basically they just expanded it out to like where every lower seed, like on the bottom half of the bracket from like 12 down, is now in a play-ins game situation. And here's the interesting thing, Dave, and this is what I found fascinating, because the first thing that everybody says, much like we just said for the college football playoff, is, oh, it's about the money and the ratings and to catch that. Here's what's interesting is the TV networks have come out, TBS, who airs it, and I think TNT has aired it at some point too, or True. They're not seeing money out of these first 4 games. This move is done to placate the low-achieving high major programs. And it pisses me off that it is going to punish mid to low major programs who already now, with the way college basketball rosters are built and the extreme amount of talent that is on those rosters, very rarely pull off an upset. There were no real upsets in the tournament this year, like at all. It was a lot of chalk. The real upsets happened at the Sweet 16 level, where a 3 seed like Illinois is considered an upset making it to the Final Four, even though that means you're one of the top 9 teams in the country, right? Like, or sorry, top 12 because it's 4. So wherever they landed, I feel like they were like a 2-3. They were like right on that line. They had to beat Houston, who was a higher seed than them, to advance. Like, those were the upsets. The upsets are not the little Cinderella when it, like, we get like one of those nowadays. And so now we're punishing
the George Masons of the world.
Right. So now we're punishing these schools. And we've talked about this so much. We're punishing these schools that already have to win a conference tournament, that most times get screwed if they are the best team in their conference and don't win their conference tournament. Miami of Ohio should never have been in question to make the NCAA tournament. Going undefeated, I don't give a shit what your schedule was or your strength of schedule. If you're a Division I basketball team that goes undefeated, you have earned the right to play in the NCAA tournament, and not in a play-in game like they were forced to do. And they won that playoff game. Good for them. And then they got smoked in the next round, whatever. But it never should have come to that. They should have earned the right to get smoked in the first round without having to earn the right. Like, they should have had to do it a second time. And so this is to appease a team like Auburn that went like 16-14 or 18-16. Like, I can't remember what their final record was, but they were like 2 games over 500.
Right.
And they were pissing and moaning that they weren't going to make the tournament because we're so good. We just had this really tough schedule and you didn't win any games. You didn't win the meaningful games.
If you're so good, you would have won, right? You know, it's the thing. If you're good enough to win, then win and stop bitching about it. But like, I mean, yeah, this is what we've been talking about. And I know you're a much bigger fan of college sports than I am. I mean, I like it just fine. You're the much bigger fan of the two of us. But I mean, the thing with college sports is it is this consolidation of the power conferences and everything just kind of funneling towards the middle. And this is another example. Let's funnel this more towards the middle, incentivize these power conferences. But at the same time, yeah, you're screwing over the mid majors. I mean, now they're going to rationalize and say, dude, there's like 8 more teams, so that gives 8 more of the mid majors a chance to get in.
They're already doing that too. They're like, oh, but this might give it a better opportunity. No, because the committee doesn't do that. The committee instantly, like, they shared who would have made the tournament, and it was Indiana, it was Auburn, it was schools that have history as kind of quote unquote at least top programs. Like, Indiana used to be a blue blood. They are not a blue blood program anymore. They have been a hot mess ever since Kelvin Sampson got removed from there. Kelvin Sampson, Tom Crean, like, it's been a shit show. They've had brief moments of competitiveness and been terrible. You don't deserve, by virtue of being in a good conference and being a middling team, to go to an NCAA tournament. I think it's stupid, but it's the world we live in now. And the women's NCAA tournament, which is currently more fun to watch, but losing money because people don't watch it, gets more games to lose money for. So I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I feel terrible for these small conferences that don't get an opportunity but beyond their one conference tournament winner. And the lie that is being said to these mid majors that they will somehow get more teams in is gross, unfair, and is shameful in my opinion. So
it is lip service at the maximum effect. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to let you take over the podcast after this commercial break. So, because like I said, I've been devoid of sports professional sports. And so I need you to catch me up. So we're going to take our quick commercial break. If you're listening live, you're not going to hear a thing. you're going to watch me be quiet for like 2 seconds, and then we're going to come back. But if you're listening to the podcast, we'll be back in about 30 seconds.
We
so
can try and
stick
play a
around.
commercial. We can try and play.
I mean, if you want to,
Sure.
we'll
Let's
see
do
what
it.
happens. If
Let's
I don't
do
hear
it.
anything, I'm just going to talk though. So we'll see what happens. But regardless of what happens, stick around. We're going to talk about NHL. I want to talk a little MLB, and then we'll wrap up the day. You're listening to the Four Corners Podcast here on the Chairshot Radio Network, part of the Chairshot.com.
Why should you visit thechairshot.com? Thechairshot.com is your home for hard-hitting reviews, news, opinion, and analysis with attitude. Why? Because you're smarter than the average fan. Thechairshot.com. Always use your head.
And just like that, it works.
It doesn't mean I won't have to edit it in afterwards, but hey, it's fun.
Well, I
it's
heard
live. And
I
the live
heard it,
audience,
so
the
hopefully-
live audience heard it, so that's what counts.
That's all that matters. All right. Let's head into the professional ranks. I want to briefly talk about Major League Baseball, but then I really want you to catch me up on hockey because, like I said, the last week, folks who know or listen to us regularly, they understand I work for the University of Massachusetts, and one of my big responsibilities is are moving students in and moving them out of their dorms. And so this week was the last week of school. We're moving people out. It's just a really hectic and busy time. I get home, I'm wiped out. And so I like pass out on the couch. I finally got around to doing my bowling league duties. By the way, bowling champ, by the way, right here. You're looking at a bowling champion.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
Congrats.
my team needed to win 1 point in the final game of the season against the second place team, which sounds easy, but you never know when you can get swept at any time. We left zero doubt. I shot a 265 game. One of my other teammates shot like a 230 game. We obliterated them game one, and it was all gravy from there. So
Nice.
I get the big payout, and I get paid to give the big payout. So it's kind of awesome.
So you will be bowling
Baseball.
for dollars again in the future.
Oh yeah, I'm on a little bit of a heater right now, and I'm
Nice.
bowling a summer league. I'm feeling good. I kind of wish there was a tournament to bowl in. If I could find somebody to bowl states with me, I'd go. But I don't have enough bowlers. Okay, so let's get into this Major League Baseball thing real quick. I just want to say this: I love the NL Central right now. Every single team in the NL Central still over 500. It defies explanation. The St. Louis Cardinals, my St. Louis Cardinals, in the midst of a rebuild. As of yesterday, I think we're 2.5 games out of first, or 2.5, 3.5 out of first.
They're
now 1.5.
Yeah.
And chasing the Chicago Cubs, who went on one hell of a heater. They're playing great baseball right now. The Brewers are lurking. Like, everybody's good. But the fun thing that I discovered is
Pirates,
Yep.
Reds. Yeah, it's fun.
the Cardinals are supposed to be in this full-on rebuild right now, and they're looking at themselves at a game and a half out of first place in the National League Central. And they had some weather-related issues during the Royals game, led to some tarps being put on a rain delay, and that led to a group of young college-age gentlemen in the right field stands while sticking around for an extra inning game after a rain delay, removing the shirts and twirling them like towels, declaring tarps off as they do it. It came back again yesterday, Saturday. They did it again. The Cardinals have won a couple of games against the Royals. Not sure how it's going today. The Royals are not very good, but anytime you win, it's a good feeling. And the NL Central, the National League, by the way, seems to be right now having a better start. The American League's got like 3 teams that are doing anything, and one of them is the Yankees.
The AL is crazy right now.
It's
just
a little rough.
because the Rays are much better than people projected. The White Sox have been playing really shockingly well. And the A's are on top of the West, which I didn't predict. And the Detroit Tigers are really struggling early. So I know the AL it's just a hot mess at this point in time.
Right.
The Yankees are the Yankees. They're inconsistent at best. The Orioles are terrible. The defending AL champs are kind of like not 9.5 games back already. But the wild card's a different story. But yeah, like you're saying, the NL clearly seems to be, and you've got two super elite teams in the National League right now that just took last week beating the hell out of each other with the Dodgers and the Braves. So,
Right.
Yeah, like you're saying, the NL Central is really tight.
It's the fun league to watch right now.
It is. And I mean, like for me as a Nationals fan, I mentioned earlier, the Nats are 500. We got the same record as the Phillies. The Phillies have not lost a series since they fired Rob Thompson, which is like, well, that's why you make that kind of shift. But no one's catching the Braves in the NL East right now. It's all about the wild card there. But yeah, it's
a shame you don't have MLB TV right now because the Orioles and the Nats are playing.
I know
that's a fun crosstown day.
They are, and the Nats have had their way with Baltimore because the Orioles are just not good. Yeah, it's just not good.
Yeah, well, you had like a season. There's like that seasons. One season in the sun.
That is too, and they couldn't win a playoff game to save their life, and
that's true. All right, speaking of playoffs, let's talk about this Game 7 that's happening on Monday. It'll be in the past by the time this drops. I just looked at scores while we were talking to see that the Sabres tied up the series yesterday 3-3 with an 8-3 victory over Montreal.
Dude, so that series has been the most insane series to watch because they have these massive ebbs and flows of momentum. And I love both teams. I'll just tell you that right now. I love watching the Sabres in Montreal because they both are just playing such high up-tempo hockey right now. And they just have these huge swings. And the last two games were identical. Like in Game 5, Buffalo jumped up on Montreal 3-1. Montreal scored the next 5 to win 6-3. So last night in Montreal, the Canadiens got a shorthanded goal. They're up 3-1. Lindy Ruff makes a goaltending change. Buffalo rattles off 7 consecutive goals to force a Game 7. So as far as what happens in Buffalo tomorrow, I have no clue. I mean, I have no feel on the pulse of this series as to who's going to win this thing because I got to give it to Montreal. I think their Dobis is a better goaltender than anybody that Buffalo's put out there. He had a bad game yesterday, but that's just kind of one of those things where things snowball on you a little bit. It's like, and the replacement's quicksand, right? Like Shane Falco's talking about quicksand, that sort of thing. But
and when Jimmy McGinty says go for it, you go for it. Oh, sorry.
But I mean, they're just, those two teams have beaten the hell out of each other. A lot of high up-tempo, high-octane hockey. Meanwhile, the Carolina Hurricanes, who have started off the playoffs 8-0. I don't know if any other team has done that.
Yeah, it's insane.
Before. They're just sitting back and waiting. I don't like either Buffalo or Montreal's chances against this juggernaut that is Carolina.
Right.
Meanwhile, over in the West, we're going to get Colorado and Vegas, which is probably what I think a lot of people were hoping for. Vegas got themselves in quite a bit of trouble for their handling of the media after they eliminated the New Ducks.
I saw that. Yeah.
And I don't think Tortorella gives a flying shit about any of that stuff. Fly me 100,000. I'm going to manage the team the way I think they need. Mitch Marner has got to be the happiest guy to be out of Toronto because he has had a stellar playoffs for the Vegas Golden Knights. And he doesn't have to worry about all the Toronto bullshit. I mean, you're in a city that is so hockey crazy and hockey ready. And he's really had a great playoffs. I don't, can Vegas beat Colorado? Maybe, but that's a tall task, man. That Colorado team.
It is,
really,
but
really
Colorado's still not entirely healthy. So, that could come into play later. I wish we could keep talking about hockey forever, but we are up against it.
I wanted to
one last point.
Yeah. Basketball. We've got a Game 7 going on in the NBA today. The Cavs and the Pistons, who have finally decided, they always say a series never starts till a team wins on the road. Well, the road teams have won the last 2. So we got a Game 7 there. The Knicks are just sitting around waiting. I think the biggest thing we're going to get is the Spurs and the Thunder in the West. That's locked in. That's the series everybody's been looking forward to. Can the young Spurs arrive way earlier than expected and knock out the defending NBA champions? They've had their number in the regular season.
Maybe if Wemby elbows somebody in the face again.
I think
that'll be it.
I think that with the Spurs, it's going to be one of these rite of passage moments, right? And we see this with teams like remember the Bulls couldn't get by the Pistons for a couple years, right?
Yeah.
And then Jordan and the Bulls got by him, and then the dynasty started. And I think you're going to see that with the Spurs. They'll give OKC a tough fight, but they just don't have what it's going to take to win. But it'll be the next step in the process, and the Spurs are the real deal. They're just a player or two.
Yeah,
away
they're a hell of a team. They're playing really, really well. All right, we really do got to go. We're coming up on time. So before we get out of here, Dave, just tell people where to find you and listen to you.
Yeah, you should. The best thing to do is go to the website attitudeofregression.com. You see it on my handle there. Also go to the YouTube channel, Attitude of Regression's YouTube channel. That's where a lot of stuff's happening. And yeah, check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/Attitude of Regression. Has started live streaming over there a bit more lately.
Cool. And you can follow me on the socials at Wrestling Realist. That is at WRESTLNGREALIST. Catch me every Monday, Tuesdays, and most Wednesdays here on the Chairshot Radio Network. Monday, talking nerdy stuff with Dave, PC Tunney, and Ray Cash. Tuesdays, talking sports with my buddy Dave here. And Wednesdays, talking wrestling with Craig DeMarco when we feel like it. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the Four Quarters Podcast. We'll be back next week to really deep dive into the home stretch of both the NBA and NHL playoffs. Yeah. Exciting time, and MLB really heating up. A lot of fun stuff yet to come. Great time to be a sports fan. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been Four Quarters Podcast here on the Chairshot Radio Network, part of the Chairshot.com.